Here we are, lads, at the Brazilian Grand Prix of 2024. Is it going to be a huge showdown? We are running out of races, 4 Grand Prix left with 2 sprints on the calendar. Verstappen sitting pretty comfortable at the top of the lead, lads, and we're running out of races here. If you're a Verstappen fan, you must be feeling quite confident here, and I wouldn't blame you. If you're a Norris fan, well, oh geez, because this is not good, lads. This is not good. Of course, you never know, but time is ticking very, very quickly, and every lap counts. Every point counts for Lando goddamn Norris.
Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move he's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front with the fifth all the way to the lead in lap 1.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter. Wow. You know, lads, I'm actually getting nervous doing these podcasts. I genuinely am. The more I speak, the more it's getting real. It's not a surreal experience. It's the pressure's on them. It's mounting here. So, lads, okay, we're going to go through the track in a few minutes now, or we're going to look at the most important corner on the track. And I'm in conflict with this one because normally the most important corner will be where you can make or break in qualifying, or you can make or break and charge through that field, where even Hamilton did on the last lap to win years ago his championship. Last corner, last lap. But this is something different here. This is something different because we're going to be looking at it through Lando Norris's eyes. How does he capitalize? How can he squeeze? How can he mount the pressure on Verstappen? Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty, lads, there's one thing we need to point out, and I think this really is my underlying problem here. I'm going for Norris this year, and quite honestly, I would even, and I think if you've watched me before, you know that I mightn't like a certain driver, but I'll always be fair, and I've called that out for the last 2 years. I'm a very fair guy when it comes to things. I've stood up for Verstappen this year. I've stood up for Hamilton. I'm not even a fan of those two lads. But if they're in the right and they get wronged, I'll wave the flag for them, no problem. And what makes me nervous for Lando Norris here is if anybody actually realized what happened in Mexico, where you had Zak Brown allow an IndyCar driver jump into his bloody car and let him take it around in practice 1. That was one of the biggest sins I've ever seen in motor racing in all my life, because Lando Norris is going for the championship, and this guy jumps into a car for practice 1. Why did he jump into Oscar Piastri's? Now, here's the thing. What if the IndyCar driver rode the car off? Car gone. Done. Couldn't fix the car for the rest of the weekend. So what? Lando Norris sits out for the rest of the weekend? I mean, that genuinely could have happened. Genuinely. The guy could have hit a patch of oil, okay? Now, he obviously wouldn't have been going flat out because maybe he would have got a warning, but you never know what happens. Patch of oil comes down. A flock of birds come down onto the track. These things happen. And yes, apparently there's a rule in the regulations that you're permitted to allow a driver, change a driver, but it has to be providing that you do it before the sprint race, practice, etc. So it has to be pre-warned, and it has to be 7 days in between, which is a ridiculous rule. I don't know how anybody would do that unless you're not contending for the championship at all, or you just quite really don't care, or you're going to sign up some guy for next year. Now, even if Zak Brown, which idiotically allowed this guy to take out the car, even if he was signing up this guy for next year secretly, you still don't risk it. Get the job done this year. Walk away with the Constructors, walk away with the Drivers' Championship, then you worry about it. And besides, he could have put the guy into Oscar Piastri's car. You don't see Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen giving up their cars. You don't see it. I haven't seen it this year. Have you? Have you? I mean, am I taking crazy pills, lads? I'm being serious. I'm getting very, very nervous. This has been the background for the last couple of races. And not just that, We've seen Zak Brown allow Oscar Piastri finish ahead of Lando Norris for 3 races. You could have argued with me on one of them, but the other 2, you could have easily radioed into, and believe me lads, I've been in this situation in car racing where I got the advantage over my teammate, or I had to give the advantage to my teammate, okay? Because it's just the politics and the way it is. You need to do everything you can to win. And Zak Brown didn't care. He didn't care. It's a dying shame. But anyway, okay. Let's get into the track, lads. Okay, lads, let's look at the track. Turn 4 is the key for Lando Norris. Now, remember, we're looking through Lando Norris's eyes here. What he can do to fight back and win. Now, if he gets through turn 4 for the first 3 laps, he's looking pretty comfortable. And he could go on and win the race. So, whether he's going into turn 4 or even out of turn 4, he's still in the danger zone. Let's call it that. Now, this is not the most important corner on the track. But for him, this is a very vulnerable corner. And for him, this is the most important corner on the track. If he can survive for the first 3 laps going through turn 4, he's got a very good chance of winning. Now here's the flip side. Verstappen could have a problem going through turn 4. This corner is very, very vulnerable for all the drivers. So, look, if you're a Verstappen fan, I get it. You obviously don't want this to happen, and it's understandable. But it could easily happen to Verstappen or Norris at this bloody corner. This is a very, very nerve-wracking scenario here for any Verstappen or Norris fans here, guys. We're heading into the final hurdle. We're jumping over it right now, and it's nail-biting between the 2 of these lads. Very nail-biting. And all this work these 2 boys have put in, all the training, the cardio training, the physical training, the driving training, the simulator training, right? All of the above. The food diet training, everything thrown into one. And 1 millimeter off the racing line, or 1 degree in a temperature drop, or up or down, can affect everything and throw everything off balance for one of these lads. And it's all over. Well, there's no doubt about it, lads. The pressure is mounting for Lando Norris. Verstappen, he's just got to keep it going. And only one driver can take it all. We obviously have a few more rounds after this, but it's moments like these that can put a lot of pressure on someone or take a lot of pressure off. If Lando Norris has a DNF this weekend, and let's say Verstappen wins with 25 points, he's going to look very good. Insanely good. And I tell you, a lot of pressure off him. And I've been in the situation. Flip it around. Verstappen has a DNF and Lando Norris wins. Oh, Lord. Hell. It's putting unbelievable pressure on Verstappen. And they'll start to panic. Who's your money on, lads? We'll be back on Monday. Good luck to both drivers or whoever you're supporting. May the best man win.
Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move he's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front from 5th all the way to the lead in lap 1.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter Walsh.